superior intellect, a superior designer, or it's a product of a process that doesn't even begin to account for one sentence, let alone one page, let alone the entire book. The human genome stands as a testament to the fingerprint of God. It's right here. And we come back to Romans 1. This is Romans 1 in a big way. They willfully ignore the fingerprint of God in the DNA that they're looking at. They know it's there. They just don't want to believe it. They just simply don't want to believe it. It's no longer a matter of the mind. It's just a matter of the heart. They choose not to see what's in front of them. They certainly can't account for it. Evolution doesn't even begin. In fact, evolution is the antithesis of this. Evolution could not in any way predict that this would be the complexity in the human genome. That they now say, oh, okay, well, that makes sense evolutionarily. No, it doesn't. That's bogus. It doesn't make sense evolutionarily. Evolution cannot predict nor explain this. In fact, evolution would predict and explain something just the opposite, and that would be a very, very simple genome. That this is what the genome is completely consistent with the creation model, but totally violates any understanding of evolution. A human genome is decaying. Remember again, genome, 46 chromosomes made up of pieces of DNA. The DNA on them have that sequence A, T, G, and C. Mutations occur for a number of reasons, but mutations occur. A sequence gets changed. A T gets changed to a G. A C gets changed to a G. A T gets changed to an A. Changes occur. They're known as mutations. Now, what I call the simplistic mutation distribution, and actually it seems like a number of evolutionists want to think of it in these terms, and that is essentially mutations that result in good things on this side, nice bell-shaped distribution of mutations on this side, those are all the good mutations, and they're kept. And then on this side of the bell shape, all the bad mutations, and they're gotten rid of. And I've had evolutionists after evolutionists say, you know, good genes stay, bad genes go. And I say, that's genetic nonsense. That's utter nonsense genetically. They would like it to be this way because it would make their theory so much easier to work with. But sadly for them, it's not that way. Okay? This is from their own literature. I'm not sure I think this is being optimistic, but we'll just use from their own literature. One, quote, beneficial mutation for every 1,000 mutations that occur. 1 in 1,000 is, quote, beneficial. So already we get an understanding that the distribution is much dramatically different than what they often want to propose. So you see the 1 in 1,000 is represented right here, and actually this is an overrepresentation. If we represented it truly in proportion to 1 in 1,000, you wouldn't be able to see it. So we have to fudge a little bit so you can see it on this graph. This represents then the 999 bad ones. Now, Kimura in 1979 proposed then what he called a no selection zone. That is, that in this area, mutations have such little effect that there isn't strong enough natural selective forces to fix them, to maintain them in the population. Or excuse me, there isn't enough selective force to get rid of them if they're bad or keep them if they're good. They're kind of like the princess and the pea under the 20 mattresses. Can you really fill it or not? And he proposed that really, when it's in this region, you can't fill it. So there's nothing for natural selection to work on. So it can't keep the good ones. It can't get rid of the bad ones. So he proposed that all of the mutations that are in this area right here, even though they're negative, they're not very negative, so he called them near neutral. The only mutations that could be gotten rid of then were the bottom 20% that are really rather devastating. These are what result in stillbirths, or result in blindness, other birth defects, where the organism clearly is at a physical disadvantage and cannot likely even make it into adulthood. Okay, those mutations are typically gotten rid of. That's just 20%. We have all the rest to deal with. Now, let's think for just a second, what's the mutation rate of the humans? Mutation rate in humans. Because we're mutating just like dogs are, just like bacteria are. We're mutating. Okay, is it 1 mutation per 10 children, or is it 1 mutation per 3 children, 1 mutation per 2 children? Okay, the reality of it is that it's 1 to 300 mutations per child. So parents, now you know what's part of the problem is they've got more mutations in them. But if you think about it at that rate, that means that genetically every generation has an additional genetic load that the previous generation did not have. 1 to 300, 1 to 300, 1 to 300. You have a 1 to 300 more than your parents. You have 2 to 600 more than your grandparents. You have 600 to 900 more than your great-grandparents, and on and on and on. Okay, that we still are reasonably healthy, that we still have reasonable sense capability means the genome can absorb a lot of mutations because it was designed in a very interesting way to allow that to happen. Thank you. But even based on evolutionist data, I don't know if that's data or not. Based on evolutionist data, this is based on Crow, his paper in 1997 from Proceedings of the National Academy. If you have a 1% decline in fitness, now that could be argued, is that too slow? Is that too, is that too high? Is that too low? But we'll just go with a 1%, which is about average. 1% decline in fitness per generation. And see, the human population can't last much more than 150 generations. Now, even creationists say we're older than that. But what that clearly gives is an indication of the problem that evolutionists face, because they're saying that the human genome obviously goes all the way back, 1.5 billion years when life first started. We didn't start over with fresh with a kind of programmer here. We didn't start over fresh with a new program when we went from Windows 2000 to Windows XP. All you did was you took the basics of XP or basics of Windows 2000 and you tried to make some changes and add into it to make XP. That's what the human genome